If we don't get this right, will farms start to close?
Sadly, that is a reality. What we're saying is that people are fundamental to a successful and resilient food system, but inevitably, unfortunately, we have heard that there's some farmers will and are leaving the sector.
The government says they want more young people to learn technical skills to make them more ready for the workplace. But is the shortage of young, skilled people in the workplace already posing a threat to Britain's food security? That's the warning from Arla Foods. They're the dairy giant behind Anchor and Lurpak Butter and Cravendale, and employ almost 4,000 people in the UK. They say the long-term resilience of food production in the UK could be now at risk. The warning comes as hot weather and drought also puts added pressure on the food sector. So we thought we'd try and find out what's going on with Paul Dover. He's the UK Agriculture Director for Arla Foods. Joins us now. Paul, morning to you.
Good morning.
What's the problem you're facing? Let's before we get to the weather, which is inevitably we will get to, young skilled workers in farming, you're finding it hard to get to them.
Yeah, we conduct a survey with our farmer owners every year. The last 7 years, they've told us that 82% of the people that they meet, 82% of them, find that it's challenging to recruit people with the right skills. So this problem is now not just one of the last surveys, it's a problem over the last 7 years, and we'd like to now call that out as an urgent problem we want to solve for our farmer owners.
So the issue is farmers can't find young skilled workers. Is that because there's an attitude issue about working on a farm, long hours, hard days, or is it about the skills that people aren't learning?
It's not about the number of people. This is about the skills and the appropriateness of the skills to work in what is an extremely exciting sector now. So we'd like to raise awareness of the great jobs that exist in our sector, in the dairy sector. But we'd also like to improve access. We'd also like to improve awareness as well. So we're reaching with a schools campaign, 100 schools, 100,000 pupils met. We're going to tell them what great careers you can have within particularly science, technology and innovation.
So what skills do they need? What skills are missing?
If you looked at things that take place on farm at the moment, tech is probably an area that we've got most skill shortages. So I go on farms most days of the week, and I can see young individuals flying drones about to check what the net habitat is. I can see individuals using robots to help milking. So unfortunately at the moment, what we're seeing is a skill shortage in those areas, but it's an awareness challenge. Harper University and ourselves have conducted a survey, and 42% of young adults actually would consider a career in food and farming. But unfortunately, only 4% do. So we know that there are 38% who are curious at one point. We need to.
So why are they put it? There must be an attitudinal point though. They must think it's a sector that won't pay them well or give them hard hours. There must be an attitudinal point here.
Of course, yeah. There are some historical beliefs that we need to sort of help change. So one of those is that it's long hours, and there is of course. Maybe not pay as well as other sectors. It actually does. Our research suggests that that's not a blocker. It's just about awareness of the actual change that exists now in what is a very modern sector.
Well, do they need to go to university? One of the questions we've been asking all week is A-level results days tomorrow, but it's an interesting question. Interesting question generally.
No, they don't need to go to university. I think if you look at some of the things that the government has been doing, we welcome those. We're really happy to hear that the farmer roadmap exists now, but that kind of only supports people already in the industry. Apprenticeships are great, but we also need to see them with real life application on farm, with experience on farm. And then the year 10 practical courses that Mr. Burnham and team put it in place. Super, but we'd like to hear more from there's food and farming is getting their fair share.
And if we don't get this right, will farms start to close?
Sadly, that is a reality. What we're saying is that people are fundamental to a successful and resilient food system, but inevitably, unfortunately, we have heard that there's some farmers will and are leaving the sector. What we're trying to do is work with industry and government to ensure that doesn't happen and create a resilient food, and secure food system in the UK.
There's a huge drought going on at the moment. What does that do to dairy farming, particularly?
Yes, all sectors in agriculture are affected. In dairy in particular, that means mostly that our farmer owners are concerned about the heat of our cows, so they're doing all they can to cool the cows down. But in real terms, from a financial perspective, it means the stocks of feed that are reserved for winter are now going to be used and brought forward and used at a time they wouldn't normally use them. So yeah,
because there's no grass to eat.
That's exactly the case. We're seeing the drought areas being added to this week. It's very dry out there. There's no significant rain forecast either for another month or two. I heard the NFU talk about yesterday.
So in practice for people consuming dairy, so like butter, which is obviously your area of expertise, that could have a price impact down the line as we go to autumn.
From our perspective, we're a farmer-owned cooperative, so we work with incredibly hard to support our farmer owners. Work alongside our retail, our supply chain as well, including retailers, to ensure that a fair price is paid to our farmer owners.
So does that mean, yes, the consumer might have to pay more?
What we're saying at the moment is what we're trying to alleviate is the extra burden of costs that trying to find the right workforce puts on our farmer owners. We're looking to a situation that is a long-term situation that we need to address within.
I understand that, but in terms of the drought, could the drought lead to you having to put your prices up, is the question I'm asking.
So we're a farmer-owned cooperative. What we do is we pay our farmer owners a fair price for the milk that they provide to ourselves. Prices are at the discretion of retailers, and we work extremely closely with our retailers to support their...
So that might be a yes, is what you're saying there. That if the farmers you want to support have to spend more money on feed, and therefore their costs go up, you don't want to leave them in the lurch, so you'll be supporting them, and that means somewhere along the line, someone's got to support in terms of the price they pay for butter.
Well, the way that prices manifest on shelf is a complex situation. What my role is as a leader of an agriculture sector in an agriculture team in a dairy cooperative is to make sure our farmer owners are resilient and get paid a fair price for their milk, and that they can invest in the future. Challenges are a very real one at the moment. I'm
just going to read one message for you. We've got quite a lot of farmer listeners actually on Times Radio. This is from James. I'm a 38-year-old farmer, and the biggest reason people don't want to get involved in farming is because of pay. 1 in 5 farms don't make any profit. Young people rightly aspire to more. The food industry needs a revolution to ensure fair distribution of profit throughout, and not just to retailers and processors. They argue that we actually, we probably need to pay. I think the argument there would be we need to probably pay more money for our food, and more money needs to go to farmers.
We welcome any support that our farmers can get in terms of being able to make the brilliant food that they do, look after the planet that they do, be fantastic stewards and guardians of the countryside. Our job in Arla is to make sure, as a farmer-owned cooperative, we're returning all our profit, apart from the small amount we retain to develop factories, for example. We return all our profit to our farmer owners.
Yeah, interesting. Paul, good to speak to you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Take care.
That's Paul Dover there, UK Agricultural Director for Arla Foods. Rory says, as a guy from a farming family, the answer is yes, prices will go up. I think you want to say that. And I understand that he runs a business, doesn't want to talk about it. But if the cost of the farmers go up and the cost of getting the milk, which becomes the butter, goes up, someone has to bear that cost in the end. That's probably going to be the consumer, you would imagine.
You would imagine. And also that point about trying to keep the animals and the cows cool, I just hadn't really considered that, and then I felt quite wretched for the cows.
Well, yeah, and also no grass. So what you're feeding them on?
What are they grazing on all day long? Yeah.
Well, and anyone's walked around the dust. I mean, we are living in, particularly if you go to the Midlands, South, and across the Wales, it's a dusty country we're living in at the moment.
And with hose pipe bans, you can't even.
Someone was actually saying to us that they were running a business. It was in Richmond, and there was they were running a business, and they've got no water sometimes. Sometimes the water supply is cut off, and they look down the road to a golf club, and all the greens were very green.
Yes.
There'll be a moment when people say, actually, things like golf clubs. I went to a bowling green I was mentioning earlier.
Yeah.
That was green, and at some point, is that going to be sacrificed?
If we're doing a priorities list, then surely farms and fields that cows are grazing in, that actually is a priority over a golf course.